Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of About What Matters. I'm Casey, creator of SlackieBrown.com. Today's episode, I'm going to be solo for a little bit because after that, we got Jeff Pearlman coming on. He's got a new book coming out, Football for a Buck. I believe it's his 8th book. He's got multiple New York Times bestsellers, a Sports Illustrated writer, a current columnist for The Athletic. Really good dude. He helped me out a lot when I was first, finding my feet in the writing world, and he's always free to answer questions, and it's something that he really didn't have to do because of where I am and where he is. So he's definitely one of the good guys in our business. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Jeff Pearlman. Jeff, so this is your 8th book, correct?
It is my 8th book. Yep.
And you did a book on the Mets, the Cowboys. You went and doing the USFL now. What was your favorite so far?
I would say this was my most enjoyable, soup to nuts. It was such a dream book for me. Of all the subjects I've ever written about, this was probably the one that just called me the most, and I've wanted to do for years and years. So it was just cool. It was like the fruition of truly was like my dream has been to be a writer. So, okay, take that as a will. This was my dream book to write, especially from a sports world. So that's, it's like a dream on top of a dream.
Yeah, you have a reputation for interviewing a lot of people. I remember with the Favre book, I think you said you interviewed like 400 subjects. How high did you get for the Football for a Buck?
So I got around 430, which should be the normal equivalent of like 1,000 because I only had a year to do the book. So it was pretty hardcore as far as just calling, nonstop calling, 7-8 interviews in a day. Just pure. It was so fun though. I know people say like cliche, it's not work if you're enjoying yourself. It really didn't feel like work. It just didn't.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Any names that folks that recognize that you got to interview that'll be in the book?
Oh yeah. I mean, Steve Young.
Hey.
Yeah. Jim Kelly, Houston Gamblers. I don't know. I mean, there's so many guys who played in that league, but
that's the thing. Like a lot of people, especially my age, like 83 to 85 is when the USFL was.
Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 30. I just turned 30, and I was born in 88. So
right. So you missed it.
My dad fell in love with Jim Kelly from the USFL, though. And
because he was
a Bills fan.
So Jim Kelly in the USFL played for this team, the Houston Gamblers, and they wore the sweetest uniforms ever. They were like black and red, and they were really cool. And he ran the run and shoot offense. He came right out of college. He was really cocky, and they give him a bunch of like Smurf receivers, all who run like 4.3 40s, and they rarely used it. They never used a tight end. They rarely used a running back. It was just bip, 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 bip up and down the field. It was this inventive offense. It was just unbelievable. Man, the league was so good. It really was.
When I was growing up, my dad would call him the Riverboat Gambler. Was that a real nickname, or was that just what he called him?
No, that's just something every now and then they'll call like a Ken Stabler or Jim Kelly guy, kind of a swashbuckler who would, take a shot and go deep, throw him between two guys. But if your dad wants to take credit for giving Jim Kelly his nickname, he's allowed to. What's your dad's name?
Tom.
I'm totally comfortable with Tom, nicknaming Jim Kelly. I'm comfortable with that. It's good.
So the USFL, like I said, it was only 3 years. From what I've read, like 83 and 84 were like really, it was super solid. And but once 85 came, there was a lot of like merging. I was reading the Sports Illustrated write-up of the final game.
Yeah.
And it was like Arizona merged with Oklahoma and Baltimore merged with Philadelphia. Was 85 a little bit of a mess, or?
Yeah, I mean, every year was messy. Like, there was no perfect season for the USFL. 83, the first season, was very experimental. It was very trial by error. They had great ratings out of the gate. Then they kind of struggled. 84, Trump comes along as an owner of the New Jersey team and sort of throws everything to upheaval. And they have 6 new teams in a weird rush to expansion. So they go from 12 to 18 after just 1 year. And they all of a sudden they have an influx of really, really good players. I mean, all of a sudden Steve Young and Jim Kelly and Herschel Walker and Mike Rozier and Reggie White, Joe Cribbs, and just all these stars. But it's sort of hard to see where they're going at that point. And then the last year, it was a little bit, the football was great, but there was a lot of team movement. Philly went to Baltimore. The Arizona Wranglers, who had been the Chicago Blitz, merged with the Arizona Outlaws to become the Arizona Outlaws. The Breakers moved from Boston, then to New Orleans, to Portland. There's a lot of like just crazy upheaval. They were planning on moving to fall. They were in the early stages of suing the NFL. So the last season had really good football, but it was just a big mess of what the hell is going on here.
That seems to be a trend. Like when an upstart league gets going, they like rush to expansion. I remember the CFL like added a whole bunch of United States teams in the mid 90s, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they only lasted like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, like Baltimore and Memphis, and you're like, what the hell is the CFL doing? That made even less sense than the USFL's expansion, because why you're literally the Canadian Football League. Why are you moving to Memphis, Tennessee? Yeah, a lot of times what it was with the USFL, it was a cash grab. There was an expansion fee of $6 million per team, so the owners are losing money and they're not as patient as they thought they were going to be. And well, here's a way we can get some money, so we'll put a team in San Antonio and not really do a great background check of the owner. But what's the worst that can happen? And then,
had they waited and played the long game, is there a scenario you see that the USFL could have lasted longer or still be going?
I think it could have lasted longer. I think if they'd stayed to spring and stayed to the original idea, I think it's easy. The thing is, you wouldn't remember this, although I guess you were no, you weren't alive for it. In 1987, there was a strike in the NFL, and it was a really heated. Right. I
saw the Redskins had they won 3 games with the strike players, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. And then they ended up winning the Super Bowl. And so, you're talking about a lot of players who would have had somewhere else to go. So if you have the USFL in existence in 1987, if it held out another 2 years, all of a sudden you have a huge, I think, leaping of players to the USFL. And I think ultimately the NFL would have sort of lost its patience, and I think they would have absorbed a bunch of teams. So I think the team in Baltimore, the team in Jacksonville, team in Memphis, probably there was a team in Orlando that theoretically could have jumped. Just different teams that could have jumped. And I think ultimately the NFL, there's the Raiders had left for LA, so there was a void in Oakland where the Oakland Invaders played. So I think you would have had a merging, really, or an absorption.
Yeah, I remember in the did you watch the 30 for 30, the small potatoes?
Only about 27 times. No more than 27 times. Yeah.
Did you interview Mike Tolan for this book?
Yeah, I know Mike really well. Yeah. Yeah, he's great.
He's made some really good sports movies, and it's not to get off track, but he's made some good sports movies in his career.
Now, did you ever see the movie? This is right in your sort of age wheelhouse, with Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jessica Biel.
Oh, Summer Catch, man.
Do you agree with me? It's one of those movies that is truly awful, but also completely rewatchable a million times.
Oh, absolutely. I love Summer Catch, and because it's like such the main, like the baseball story is actually good. Like the Cape Cod League,
sure.
No one's done a story about the Cape Cod League, like a movie.
But the Jessica Biel's father figure is just so cliched and like the over the top. I don't want you marrying the long guy. And the thing Mike told me that's really funny is he said Freddie Prinze has no athleticism to speak of.
Yeah,
they just can't throw the baseball.
That's like, man, I see that all the time now. Even like the Friday Night Lights, the TV show that was like,
I love it.
Really good ratings. Some of the football is just so awful. I mean, the drama's good, but some of the football is just so awful.
Well, also like in Bull Durham, supposedly Tim Robbins just could not throw a baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell from watching it.
Well, they almost did it the opposite way. They almost went so crazy with it that it kind of made sense the way they did it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then you hear a story like Charlie Sheen actually could throw a baseball in Major League.
And so could Kevin Costner. I'll tell you this. Kevin Costner, my second date with my wife was to a movie starring Kevin Costner as an old Detroit Tigers pitcher who was throwing a no-hitter.
For the Love of the Game.
For Love of the Game. Terrible movie. And yes. I think terrible movie. And I was covering Major League Baseball when that came out. And supposedly he had a lot of extras who were Major League guys. And one of them was an outfielder with the Royals at the time named Scott Pose. And he said one day Kevin Costner challenged, he was going to get a team of actors and extras to play the Major League guys and the minor league guys in a game. And he kept bragging about how hard he could throw. And on the day of the game, he said he had a sore arm and couldn't play.
What?
So, yeah.
Oh, man, that's such a bummer. I love Kevin Costner.
Yeah, I do too, actually.
So I know when you did Gunslinger, you went on a little bit of a press run. What do you have planned for the next couple weeks before September 22nd? Are you going to be on Cowherd again?
I am. I'm supposed to be next week.
Yes.
Yeah, I love him. He's a great guy. And, it's this thing, right? Like I said, I never got less money for a book than this one. I never had to do it in a quicker time. I've never loved a subject as much. And I don't think I've ever, literally, in fact, I'm not even making this up. I'm sitting here while I'm talking to you, addressing envelopes to the people who wrote me, showing me that they, like you, who ordered the book and are getting the sticker and they get a sticker, a name tag, and I put them in a raffle for 20 Gunslinger t-shirts or 25. Like, I am pulling out all the stops here, all the stops.
Yeah, like your movie there, book whore, right?
Yeah, I am a book whore. I personify the book whore.
Hey, it's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Like you said, I watched the video with you and your son. It's like if you put out 1,000 postcards on underneath everyone's window.
Yeah.
You get like.
How many books am I selling? 20?
Maybe 30. Yeah, maybe 30.
I know. It's more superstition at this point. I did last week. It's superstition.
Like, that's a pretty good hit rate, though. Like, how much does a banner ad at the top of a website bring? Probably 1 or 0.
No, it's, so what I will say, saying, since you like talking about this stuff, and I like talking about this stuff, it has marketing a book from when I first started to now is so ridiculously different. So like when I came along, here's what you would do. You would have a publicist, and the publicist would try to get you reviewed in papers. That was it. It was newspapers, right? We might be able to get the New York Times so-and-so columnist to review whatever. And that'd be great. And you'd be psyched, and you'd wait for the reviews to come out. And maybe someone would do a profile on your book, your local hometown paper. And that was kind of it. And then you do sports radio and some TV if you were lucky. Nowadays, like I would trade a tweet. Like the other day, Roland Martin, who's known for CNN, that. Right? He has 500,000 Twitter followers. He tweeted out my book. That is more valuable than a review in Sports Illustrated, and which is so weird, but it is.
I think that's like with a lot of sports writing now. Even if for a book or an article, I had one article where you and Richard Deitch and a few other guys retweeted it out, and it went like crazy.
Right.
It doesn't happen if the big audiences aren't passing it on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, social media, absolutely. I mean, it's so much different than how it was back in the day.
And the problem is it's on the one hand, it's good. And on the other hand, it is all absorbing and it's just tiring. And you're always in front of your freaking computer. And I'm so like, the book hasn't come out. It's not coming out for like another 10 days. I'm already sick of myself. I'm sick of hearing myself talk. I know my family is sick of hearing USFL stories. I don't blame them. I love the subject a ton, but I'm just like, it's so ridiculously self-indulgent and self-important. But on the other hand, you busted your ass on this book for a number of years. So you do want it to sell, and this is how you do it. But no, it's just an interesting kind of weird process.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Like, by now, your family's probably so over everything USFL. It's not even funny.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, beyond it pays the bills.
It pays the bills. Exactly.
It's all, but more than that, it's just the greatest way to make a living. Like I can't really complain because who the hell am I to complain about being able to write books for a living about a football league that I loved when I was a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things that comes with the territory. I am like kind of covering Arizona sports out of nowhere, and my girlfriend's like, I don't. How many times can you talk about the Arizona Cardinals? Like,
right.
Who cares?
Right. Why do I care? Why do I care? And you're like, you care because I'm doing it. I mean, you do.
Yeah.
It's kind of, and sometimes it's just her job, just like it's my job and your job, to just nod and pretend you're listening. And that's okay.
Let me get it out.
Let you get it out, pretend you're listening, and then move on to what's for dinner.
So another thing that has I thought helped the book promotion is the song that MC White Owl has done for you. How did that friendship come together with you? And I know he does the intro to Two Writers Slinging Yang.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a regular song or not, or if that was specialized for the pod. But
no, he died. No, that's a regular song. That's
okay. Yeah. So are you guys like friendly? Did you go to school together? How?
So it's like a great story. I mean, not that great. 15 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, I was at we used to live in New Rochelle, New York, and we had these neighbors New Rochelle, right? And you've been there?
I lived in White Plains for a while. So.
Right. There you go. Yeah. So Mean Street. I'm from Mahopac. Mean Street's Mahopac. So we had these neighbors, the Luftigs, and we went to a party one day at their house, and I meet this guy, and we're just talking hip hop. He's their brother-in-law. His name's Aaron. And he's like, yeah, I used to be in a hip hop group called Bad Ronald. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He's like, we had a video that used to get play on MTV. I was like, okay. He's like, you want to see it? I'm like, okay. And there it is on YouTube, this video, and from the MTV playlist in 2001. And not that long after, a couple years later, I was working on Walter Payton, and he wasn't really that active with music at that point. And I was like, any chance you do a song just to promote my book? He's like, yeah, man, I'll do that. And he did this song Sweetness. It was awesome. And he's really, if you look him up and you know, on iTunes and whatever, Pandora, he's awesome. And he has so much. Bad Ronald was like a joke. He is this freaking star and a stud. And we're just really good friends. And we call it he calls it book hop. Like he'll write books, songs, promotional books. And then I found this kid who went to University of Delaware named Stephen Ochoa. He's only like probably 22. And he was just coming out, and he DM'd me one day. He's like, do you know anywhere to get a job, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, I don't, but I'd hire you to do a video. And there you go, the magic. I love that song. I love that song. I truly do. Love it.
That's so random. It's a funny story because when I was living in White Plains, I went to this random barbershop to get my hair cut. And the dude who was cutting my hair had a platinum song in the 2000s that I knew. Do you remember the song No Pigeons?
I don't think so, actually.
Because there was the TLC song that was No Scrubs. Remember No Scrubs?
Of course.
They did there was like a rap group that did a song like a guy's
No
version
Pigeons?
of the
Really?
song called No Pigeons, and it got like a million
right, whatever it was
whatever.
Right.
And the dude, he was cutting hair in White Plains.
Oh my God. Well, you never know who you're gonna.
King Kirk. Yeah.
Oh, King Kirk. That does sound familiar. I'm not sure. That's really funny.
But the group was called Sporty Thieves. If you look up Sporty Thieves, he's probably still there.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having your moment and then sort of moving on to your career. You can't, nothing wrong with cutting hair as it's a totally honest living,
Yeah, some people like don't. I mean, the fame and all this stuff, it's like tough on your mental. So I mean, some people want to get out of it, and I totally understand.
Oh, so you can't. I mean, unless you're, Jay-Z, Eminem, maybe Nas. It's very hard to keep a career going forever. It's just hard,
Yeah, absolutely. Especially as you get older, like you said, like who wants to? It's so hard to be in front of your computer all day because you need to be marketing right now. You need to be pumping stuff out. It's difficult.
Right, I agree. Also, after a while, I think this is way off topic, but I saw I was watching MTV the other day, and there was some 22-year-old, young-looking guy, I'm guessing 22, singing a song. He's a good-looking guy, kind of looked like a young Justin Timberlake, and the girls are singing along and they're crying to his song, and you can tell he's like on top of the world, and he just thinks he's the man, right? And and he is a man. He's 22. I'm sure he's getting laid plenty, and he's like making some money, and but like that shit, it doesn't stay satisfying forever. And if it does stay satisfying forever, something's wrong with you. At some point, you're like, you know what? This is kind of empty. I need to do something else now. And that just happens in life. You kind of move on and you find something new.
It's 100% correct. That's like with everything. Not even like if you're famous or not. Like the 20s, you have your fun, and then once the 30s start,
you're just like, all right, and you can still have fun, but it's a different fun. It's, in fact, to me, I enjoy writing and I enjoy my career a million times more now than I did when I was 30. I'm not trying to make you sound young or whatever, but like I was just kind of like I have much more of appreciation for it now than I did when I was younger. So I think that actually does come with it.
So books aside, Jeff is a columnist at The Athletic, which is just killing it in sports media right now. How many columns are you doing a week, and how long are the projects taking you? I really like the last one you did.
Oh, thank you. I do. I actually didn't. That's a funny thing. I was like, I don't know. It's so funny how you never know what people like and don't. So I kind of do one a week, but I'm sort of changing a little to do a few more features. Like I did a feature a few weeks ago about a Chargers safety named Rayshon Jenkins. And I really like stretching my legs with profiles. So I might cut down to a few fewer columns and a couple more features. But I like what they're doing, and they've given a place for a lot of journalists, and they're hiring, and it's really encouraging,
Is it up to you as to how many posts how many columns you're doing, or
No, definitely not. I mean, they're paying me per column. So it's kind of, it's up to them. And I think, I think they're more into profiles than they are to columns. So I think they want more sort of features, which I love writing the features. So whatever they want, I'm pretty happy with,
There was I read one of the Kansas City writers had a really good story yesterday about that's like a third round pick, and he got all messed up with
I saw that.
The drugs, and
that was great.
Came back.
Yeah, that was
a really
great.
Good story.
Yeah, that was really good.
So some of their features are really good. So with The Athletic, some of the newer cities, like for instance, me, I live near Washington D.C. I set Washington D.C. as my homepage. they don't have a Wizards writer. They don't have a Redskins writer. It just seems like they might have stretched themselves a little bit too thin right now. Is there any truth to that?
I don't know. I was trying to think how to answer that because I actually don't know. And I try to be very honest. And so it's weird, right? It's like uncharted territory. And I think this is a guess. On the one hand, they're trying to sort of, look, this is what we're going to do. We are going into markets. We're going to own the markets. We're going to have a feeling almost of inevitability. I'm sure they're also thinking, value of the company. At some point, I'm sure the investors are going to want to sell it or see what the value is. And I think if they can say they're all over the place, it's probably a much higher sort of, I guess, value. I mean,
I totally get that.
I sound like a moron saying it, but do I think does it make me a little nervous seeing them move into markets where you're like, oh, Buffalo, well, that happened quick. It's kind of weird, like, because you blink and you're like, oh, they're in a new market. But I trust that they know what they're doing, and so far they seem to. So I'm sort of hoping they do. I'm thinking the best. I'm just hoping the best because the thing that's great about The Athletic more than anything is it's just opened up markets for so many writers at a time when that is not happening. So to me, I don't know anyone at SI, at ESPN, at Yahoo who does not want it to work, even if they're not writing for it, even if they're at the quote unquote rival, because it's a important thing for the employment of so many sports writers right now.
Yeah, because once if someone were to get let go from ESPN, at least they have options now.
Yeah, of course.
The Athletic is a viable option right now, and it's like pretty. I feel like it's like every time someone leaves somewhere, it seems like it's always The Athletic that picks them up. The guy from Yahoo, Shams, always has the scoop, and he just joined. So
yeah, no, I'm with you.
Big things, man.
I hope it works out. I mean, I truly do. I hope, and not for me. I mean, it's nice for me, but I just think there's so many writers where this place has been a lifeline. And really, I mean, to me, if you want to talk about definitive athletic writer, it's Dana O'Neill, who covers college basketball. I mean, I wasn't that familiar with her. She's ridiculously good, And
I listened to your podcast.
Oh, she's so good, and she's really smart. She's cool, but she's just talented, like oozing talent. And the idea that she wasn't working, and now she has a place where she can be appreciated is to me hugely important and fantastic. So
that's scary, right? When there's a lot of uber talented people that are just whether it's bad luck or poor timing. There's a lot of really talented people that probably deserve a little bit better right now.
Yeah, but the problem is, I mean, it's what I was saying. That's another thing you learn really. I'll tell you what. When I was at Sports Illustrated, Rick Riley left for ESPN, and
that didn't work out great.
Right, but the interesting thing is, it felt like Armageddon when he left. It was like, holy shit, look what ESPN got. SI, are they even going to be able to recover from this? And Rick is a friend of mine. Rick is one of the best feature writers I've ever read, right? But one of my favorite quotes, I think it's Charles de Gaulle, is the cemeteries are filled with irreplaceable men. We're all replaceable. We're all replaceable. So when people think, oh, how are they going to get by without so-and-so? Like, everyone's replaceable. All of us, we're all going to die at some point, so we will be replaced. So I just think it's cool for someone like Dana. I mean, the world would get by without my books or Dana's college basketball or whatever, but it's good when people who are talented and decent still continue to be allowed to do what they do very well.
Now, on to one of my favorite subjects in the world.
I just want to say, I don't know for a fact that the world will be able to survive without my books. I'm taking a guess. I could be wrong. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
What do you think is the 5-year situation with Sports Illustrated? The print edition, at least.
Oh boy, I think print. This has nothing to do with SI. Like, print is dying everywhere, and there's no revenue. There's no revenue. There's no ad revenue. So, I mean, I suppose kind of like it was when I was there. The swimsuit issue is prolonging something, as far as because of the money it still inexplicably brings in. I just think SI, and I still don't think it's too late. I really don't. Just needs to adjust purely 100% to a digital future and just bust ass and ask themselves, what do other websites not give that we can give? I mean, they have this treasure trove of backlogs of material. How can we use that? What can we do to just kick ass online? Because I feel like they have great writers. They have great people. They have smart editors. They've never fully taken advantage of digital the way they should. The Vault was this thing. I remember when they introduced it, I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. The Vault, you can find any story ever written in SI. That's amazing. But it's just never been that easy to use. And I think if they can figure that out, and I just think they have a treasure trove, and they have so many talented people there that I still have faith, actually.
And people like outside of people who aren't inside writing don't even know about SI Vault, you know?
No, they don't. And also, I don't know if someone, so you're 30, I'm 46. We're still at the age when SI, had oomph, you to a lesser degree than me, but still, the magazine itself, I don't know if a 25-year-old right now has ever picked up a copy of Sports Illustrated, or a 22-year-old or an 18-year-old. I don't know if they've ever picked up a copy of SI.
That makes me so sad, man.
Oh, me too.
I used to I lived in a space in upstate New York where there was no internet for like a little over a year.
Were you okay?
When that Sports Illustrated came into the mail,
yeah,
I felt like I was back connected again.
Do you still get it?
Oh my God, yeah, of course. I don't know if I paid for it recently, but I still get it.
I know, but it's still a great magazine. That's the thing. I just had a talk the other day with someone there. I was like, I don't know how you guys are doing it, but the magazine's great. The magazine is it what it was when you had sort of the titans of the business? No. But is ESPN? No. But is it great? Yeah. It's still really, really great. And the writing is I think it's still great. I really do. Maybe I'm naive.
No, I agree. There's at least one like feature story in there that I read every single time.
I know, which is a bummer. Which is a bummer because it used to be a cover-to-cover thing for most people. Yeah.
Have you tried SITV out?
No. Is it really bad?
It's like there's some good stuff, but like they start something, they do 2 episodes, and it's been sitting dormant for 5 months.
What would be an example?
That's really bad look. Like so they started a documentary series about Jeremy Lin, like Jeremy Lin's comeback from whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
2 episodes right away. Boom, boom. April. They're just sitting there.
That's it?
Been updated since. And then they'll do something like SI at the movies.
Oh yeah.
Come out with 1.
That's it.
Nothing for a while. It's just like the other streaming services are putting stuff out like more than we can handle.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're trying. They have they've done some good documentaries, but it's just like it's not enough to charge $5 when ESPN's charging $5 and giving you like 1 million games from colleges and stuff.
I always thought when I left SI, I used to say this: if I'm them, and I know this, again, it's probably way too late for this, I would have gotten into fantasy leagues aplenty, and I would have had the prize, whatever it is. You go away on whatever swimsuit shoot you like. Here are the 5 locations. We're going to send you for a week to whichever one. You're going to go on the shoots with the models. Tie the things together. Use everything you have that's powerful about Sports Illustrated and use them as dangling carrots. I don't know.
It's about getting people excited, man. It's right. It's true.
Yeah. I love SI. I love SI, and the writers there are still great. I don't think you'll find a better 2 right now in sports than Chris Ballard and Lee Jenkins. Just back to back, bam, bam, writers at the top of their game right now. So,
yeah, they have NBA on lockdown, man. Lee Jenkins, that LeBron James story was huge that he did a couple of years ago.
He's great.
Huge.
He's great, and they're both really good guys too. Which actually, they're both great people. So,
I hope that it lasts. I hope that they figure something out. I don't know if they cut the print off completely. If that okay, now we can start socking some money away, or building the website to something next level. I don't know.
They cut the number of issues per year, and I think
20, to 40 to 30 to now 26.
And I was, the old school guy in me that bums me out and makes me kind of sad, but I get it. I get it. When I was at SI, they started doing multiple covers. They would do regional covers, and I thought
they do that a little bit.
No, now they do it now somewhat regularly. I remember when they first did it, and I was horrified. And you just kind of realize the longer you're in the business, if you don't move with the times, you're left behind the times. So I remember when the New York Times got them sold. I remember when the New York Times started printing color pictures. And a lot of people were genuinely upset. How can you abandon black and white? You are a black and white newspaper. You sink or you stick around, or you move ahead, or you're just stuck not doing anything. Sometimes you just got to,
Are you still a newspaper reader?
Like a print newspaper reader?
Yeah.
When I'm in Starbucks waiting for my drink.
That's right. I pick up the New York Times.
Yeah.
Pick up the Washington Post.
I read the Washington Post every day, and I read the New York Times every day, but just online.
Yeah, I think that in the somewhat near future, it'll be like the Washington Post, the New York Times, the LA Times, maybe a Dallas paper and Chicago Tribune. Maybe the 5 big ones, not nearly as many local papers right now. I don't know how the paper that I work for is making it. I have no idea.
I feel there are a few things I think people are still fascinated by local news. I really do. I think people like knowing the crime in their area. I think people like the high school scores and the reports. I think people like seeing their names in the paper.
I used to cut out every single time.
Of course, so did I. All my Mail Pack High School cross country clips and track clips are in the paper. I used to say I'm staring at an article. Literally, I'm staring at an article taped to my wall that says Mail Pack's Pearlman runs off to Delaware. Like, those things matter to people. So I think local papers for the next, once people over the age of 60 now are off this planet, local papers are dead, because nobody's even going to grow up reading a paper that they would think to pick up a paper. But until that time, I still think the local paper has an important part in the community. I'm talking about the weekly Patent Trader or Supermarket Daily or whatever. I think those newspapers still do.
So when I know some people who read the paper religiously. When those people are gone, how is Jimmy Jones getting his baseball, cutting out his baseball score?
Well, I don't know what it'll be then. Oh, are you talking about the local baseball score?
Yeah, like the local baseball scores.
It's a hell of a question. It'd be easy for me to say what would happen in 2018, which is some mom writes a blog about it, or some dad writes a blog about it and posts on the blog, and they all pass it around and they put it on Facebook. And that is totally fine. That's totally, completely fine. But and I know, there was a very unique thrill in picking up the local paper when you were a kid. And I literally remember making the Mail Pack High School varsity basketball team and seeing my name in the paper on the roster, just on the roster, and being giddy and cutting that thing out. That is a thrill that'll, whatever, times change, but that's a thrill a lot of people are not going to know.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yep.
But
damn. Thanks for the uplifting interview, Casey. I feel much better. Author Jeff Pearlman hung himself last night after thinking about all the newspaper jobs that he'll never get.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see you on FS1 hopefully this week. Any other big plans in terms of getting the word out of the book? Well,
I'm going to New York for a week of PR in a week, and I don't like talking about the things I'm doing so much because I'm always paranoid they're going to get canceled. How many times does it happen where all right, Jeff, we're going to have you on whatever CNN later today to talk about whatever, and then at the last minute it's like, oh, Donald Trump just tweeted at somebody a picture of his
man,
booger.
I can't believe we haven't mentioned Donald Trump yet.
What do you want to know?
Have you ever sat there and gone through his typos just through one tweet? I'm like, why is this capitalized? Why is that capitalized?
It's crazy.
Someone doing it.
How about the capitalization just in general? The capitalization.
That's what I'm saying. Why are you capitalizing all these things?
Right. Do you not know? Do you actually not know that hospital is not capitalized if you're not referring to a proper hospital? Do you not get that? Liberal conspiracy would not actually be capitalized. And if you really wanted to emphasize it, you would probably go with maybe just all, I don't even know, maybe in quotes or something, or a fiery emoji. But the inane, I'll tell you one other thing I thought. I was at my kids' back to school night last night, and I was sitting in the science class, right? Mm-hmm. And I live in a 50-50 conservative liberal area. And I was thinking, I'm sure half these parents voted for Trump or supported Trump. We're sitting in a science class, but the chemistry teacher is talking. And I was thinking 50% of you fools don't even believe climate change is an issue. And you're sending your kids to science class. What's the point of learning things if then you reject them all because some cartoon marker tells you they're not true?
Yeah.
I'm the biggest, man. I'm the biggest bummer interview you'll ever have.
When I was in school, it was you respected your teachers, you respected the policeman, and the president was the best role model out there.
Yep.
And now it's just such a different world, man.
It's really grim. And I always say, here's my hope. I'm going to sound like an optimist. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of a disguise. I have this dream that 3 years from now, Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, whoever, right? Whoever you want to pick. Even John Kasich or someone, one of these people is president, right? Mm-hmm. And this just all feels like we were in the shittiest dog shit dream of all time. Everyone's talking about we'll never get over this, but maybe just someone comes in and people are okay. Most of the people are okay. And we're reminded what it's like not to have to think about your president every day. If I were running for president now, I swear to God, part of my speech would be, you shouldn't have to think about me every day. That is unnatural. That's not how it works.
It is.
It's unnatural. think about it with Obama, with Bush, with Clinton. You may have hated them, you may have liked them. You weren't dwelling on them every day.
Yeah, it was much more peaceful. I think that if anything happens to him in terms of like the investigation, something like any type of trying to get him out of there early, I'm worried about what his crazy ass supporters are going to do.
I'll take that risk.
I feel like it's going to be a civil war if that happens.
Well, we're already halfway in a civil war in a lot of ways. It's so far a relatively nonviolent, but the divide in this country is crazy. The one thing I will say is his core supporters are unbending, but I don't think they're nearly as large as they are loud. I just don't. I think most people in this country, at some point, just like the USFL, Donald Trump was a snake oil salesman of the USFL. And ultimately, he killed it, he drowned it, the players lost jobs, the owners lost their league, and one day all these people woke up and said, what the fuck just happened? Like, what just happened? What did I fall for? And I feel like at some point with this con man, that happens.
Yeah, con man is confidence man, and he puts confidence in people, and they buy into it, and it's...
I know, but then you're left. You're the guy you're buying the potion for your balding, and you buy the lotion for $100 because you believe it's going to work, and a month later you still have no hair, and you're like, oh, wait a second.
Oh shit.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a Mark Twain line. It's easier to be fooled than to convince someone they've been fooled.
Hopefully your dream comes true. That would be nice.
I'm with you.
But September 22nd, football for a buck, USFL. There is
September 11th.
Oh, September 11th. Okay,
Yeah.
September 11th, USFL football for a buck. Send Jeff chocolate because
send him chocolate.
His birthday's coming up.
Yeah, and yeah, man. September 11th it comes out. It's available everywhere now. It's my favorite book. Hopefully, it's my best book. And yeah, there you go.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always a joy. Thank you.
All right, good deal.
USFL, football for a buck. Just another dream Donald Trump screwed up. The United States Football League, drugs, egos, money, greed, the truth. Why Trump hates the NFL. He's a racist and a bigot and his tickets wouldn't sell. A POTUS that can't even spell. A story so absurd, that's the USFL. Dear Donald Trump, you filthy leech. How many lies you gonna tell before they impeach? Let me interject a bit. I don't want you to forget the tears, the fears, the blood, the sweat. A league full of winners remembered for lack of liquidity. When in reality, it was all your stupidity. A bunch of misfits, this fits perfectly well. Herschel Walker, Doug Flutie, and some names ring a bell. And markets that might sell. Battle the NFL, 83 to 85, it didn't end so well. 40 million reasons, it was over in 3 seasons. A young Steve Young, NFL had the legions. Before the comb over, before the Trump towers, before Stormy Daniels, before the golden showers. Countless hours wasted, success never tasted. Spring fling football, and promo went and traced it. USFL, football for a buck. Just another dream Donald Trump screwed up. The United States Football League, drugs, egos, money, greed, the truth. Why Trump hates the NFL. He's a racist and a bigot and his tickets wouldn't sell. A POTUS that can't even spell. A story so absurd, that's the USFL. The drugs, the sex, the hookers, the bars, the players that became NFL stars. The invaders, the breakers, the generals, the blitz. A league rewarded grown men with working chicks. Chicago for Arizona. What a crazy scheme, Arizona for Chicago. Yes, the whole team stiffing players out of money, including Reggie White. Players puking on coaches, even in mid-flight through the NFL. Donnie, you schmuck. White out with Jeff Pearlman. Football for a buck. David Dixon, Chet Simmons, Bobby Hebert, Anthony Carter, Doug Williams, Brian Sipe, Gary Anderson, Vaughn Johnson. He traded a whole team for